updates. Jeff is really the star of today's show, but there are a couple things I wanted to share today. I wanted to say I'm glad that our first storm really wasn't much of a big deal. You know, we were ready for some rain and wind, and it never really happened here, but that's totally fine with me. So good news on the first storm. Also, last week we started our floor wing building meetings. They were for 4 of the GVT buildings last week, and we have one more GVT meeting tomorrow. And I will say I am so happy with the attendance. Very, very well attended, more so than the last round of meetings. So I want the Plaza building the challenge is extended, and you have to keep up with that attendance like GVT did. I will say we have the schedule out, and on Wednesdays it's going to be Teresa and I, and we have a couple of set topics we cover, but then we open it up for whatever questions or concerns you all have. And then on Thursdays, it's going to be Kim Habercorn, who's the Director of Assisted Living and Memory Care, as well as Lisa Frank, our Resident Services Director, and they're going to talk about what to expect when you transition to assisted living or memory care, or if you have a loved one that makes that transition. And then from there, they also open it up for any questions or concerns you want to share. So how we do come away from those meetings is that we have our bullet point list of all the feedback we received. I share that with the team, and then Kim and Lisa will also share that with the team, and we make sure we give ourselves a little homework list that we go through and do all of our follow-up. And what I will say, if you are unable to attend your floor or wing scheduled meeting, you can attend any meeting you want to. And if your floor is scheduled with Teresa and I, but you would also like to hear what Kim and Lisa have to say, you're free to attend another meeting as well if you want to hear the other presentation. So thank you for the participation so far, and please keep that up because it's very helpful to us. One of the things, another thing I wanted to share is the good news is that our active COVID cases are decreasing significantly, so that's great. We still have a few folks that are self-isolating because they've tested positive, and I think the important thing I want to share is we talked a lot about it at my meeting in Asheville 2 weeks ago, how this is sort of going to be here to stay, right? We're never going to fully be over COVID. One of the facts that was shared with me was that there are still strains of the Spanish flu from 1918 that show up from time to time. If you have heard of H1N1, that's a variant of the Spanish flu, and people still get that today. So I know there's many experts that have many varying opinions on how we do things, right? But we have to kind of figure out what makes the most sense. But the thought is that this is here to stay, and it's going to become seasonal, and the seasons may be different depending on where you live, and it's going to be like the flu. The good news is that the symptoms now of COVID for most people are pretty mild compared to how things were in the beginning, and that's good news. And so I think what we're up against is probably a lifetime of boosters or annual COVID shots like we get for the flu, and we're just going to have to figure out how to run our operation in a way that factors that into our day-to-day, protocols and systems that we have. So a lot of good things have resulted from COVID. We have these new disinfecting machines that we have. They're Clorox disinfecting that we can just walk around and disinfect high-touch areas like the elevator buttons and handrails and things like that. So that's a good outcome. We have some other protocols in place too. So I know there's a large group of residents that want everybody to wear a mask, and then there's a group of residents that don't ever want to have to wear a mask again. And I'm here to say that if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, that's okay too. But when we have a spike in cases, we will always recommend masks indoors. It's a good way to keep things from spreading. Freedom Plaza is different than living out in the community in a single family home. We're living in a building of many, many people in congregate living, so masks aren't a bad idea when we have a spike in cases. But the good news is our numbers are going down, which is awesome. We do have some upcoming visitors. We will have some folks from Health Peak coming on June 22nd, just to do a property tour. They're going to see, they're going to bring their investors. So Health Peak owns Freedom Plaza. They have folks that invest in their company, and they want to show them what a really awesome continuing care retirement community looks like. So they're going to come to Freedom Plaza. They're going to visit one or two other properties in the area, because they're always looking for ways to expand our communities, make them better. And so their investors need to see what we're all about. So they will be here on June 22nd. We also have a lender inspection sometime in July. So there is a mortgage on Freedom Plaza that Health Peak writes the checks on every month. Freedom Plaza does not. Health Peak pays that mortgage. And so the lender who financed the community comes out every 2 years to just do an inspection of the property to make sure we're not letting it go, that we're maintaining everything appropriately. So those inspectors will be here in July. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the Name the Wiz competition. So I had over 60 entries for naming the Wiz. And Stephanie sat in front of me and she didn't tell me who submitted any of the entries, and she read them. This is the process I went through. So she read me an entry, and I said I put it in the maybe or the no pile. And then we came down and we probably had, out of the 60, maybe 20 maybes, and the other 40s were no, and then we kind of reviewed the maybes. And some of the criteria I looked for was simple. We don't want a big long name. We want to keep it simple, and we want it to be something that everyone can remember. So we finally landed on Lucy and Desi, which I thought was a pretty good name. Pretty simple, everybody knows it, everybody's going to remember it. And I know, I haven't seen it yet, but Martha did send me their name tags. So you will see name tags on the robots if you're in the Plaza building, and they're going up and down your hallway. So it was a really great competition. Congratulations to Carol O'Brien, who won that. She's enjoying her prize that included a few bottles of wine, which is always a great prize. And that's all I have for today, so I'm going to call Jeff up, and he's going to brief everyone on our hurricane preparedness plan for this hurricane season.
Good morning, everyone. How many of you all were here for Irma? What? By a show of hands. Hurricane Irma. Happened a few years ago. Pretty tough times we had to go through here. I was actually working at Homewood. So hopefully we don't have to go through that again. This is supposed to be somewhat of a very active hurricane season. And hopefully we won't be too impacted by any of those storms that might be out there brewing. So we're going to talk about the 2022 hurricane season preparedness, which is from June 1st to November 30th. And that concludes the presentation. No, just joking. Also, if there's any questions, we're going to have Pam here. She's going to talk a little bit later. We can target some questions towards her if you have any questions about the water delivery and things like that we're going to talk about later. And I was hoping Stevie was going to be here if you guys had any maintenance questions in regards to that, but I'll try to answer those questions as best as possible, okay? All right. So the disaster preparedness guide. 3 steps for disaster preparedness. Very important to pack a disaster kit, make a plan, and to stay informed. And also you can see the website that's up there, www.hillsborocounty.org is a wonderful resource to go on to and look at all the items that you need for those specific things. There's 3 ways to stay informed. We have Swift Reach. Everybody here knows what Swift Reach is, correct? Oh, really? Are you guys joking with me? All right, so Swift Reach is a form of communication that's sent out to everyone, employees and residents that live here, in regards to things that are going on. A lot of you have seen, there's a Swift Reach usually sent out for maintenance, if there's gonna be noise and what location the noise is gonna be in. Have you all seen that?
Yeah.
Okay, so in case of emergency or something like that, like if the power goes out, it's gonna be out for an extended period of time, anything of that nature, a Swift Reach will be sent out. And I get it on my cell phone, it's an alert, you get a phone call, or you get a email notification stating what the emergency is or what's happening. Second thing is a memo that's sent out. Stephanie usually takes care of that. We'll send a memo out if we need to reach everyone and let them know if anything's going to go on in regards to hurricanes or anything like that. And we do have HCFL, right? And they're the county organization official mass notification system. So if we were to get a hurricane that's going to come this way, there'll be alerts that's sent out by HCFL as well. So we have multiple avenues of notifications in order to let everybody know what's going on. And of course, there's social media, there's the news, there's multiple outlets to keep informed of what's going on. Most of you all should have this. It's a packet that looks similar to that. By show of hands, how many of you all have this? Okay. Well, everyone should have it. It's a safety and emergency information that's given out to all residents that live here. So if you do not have it, you can contact Stephanie and we'll get you a copy of that, right? And it has all the information what to do if there is an emergency. And the two topics that we're going to discuss in a little bit are the preparation for hurricane and hurricane information and instructions. We'll talk about a little bit further in the presentation. So we have a disaster preparedness manual. I maintain possession of this. It's kept in my office. And once a year, it has to be submitted to the county for approval. And I'll get a notification email back saying they reviewed anything. If there's anything in there that I need to resubmit, fix and resubmit, they'll let me know. And pretty much it's just a binder for all the topics that we're gonna discuss in a little bit. But it shows that we are prepared in case of a disaster, which includes hurricanes and natural disasters and things of that nature, showing that we are well informed, we know what to do in that situation, and that we meet all the standards for the county, for Hillsborough County. So some of the things that are in there are the LCS Operations, Procedures, and Quality Standards Manual, and it's pretty much soup to nuts for hurricane preparedness regarding Plaza West, Freedom Plaza, assisted living and memory care, and also here at Freedom Plaza. The disaster aid agreement receiving communities, which are Lakeport Square and the Regency Oaks, and a transferring community, which is Freedom Square of Seminole. Transferring community means that they would come here and we would shelter them. Lakeport Square and Regency Oaks, we would actually go to them and be they would receive us in case of emergency we need to evacuate here. But we also have bus finders, and they will transport all residents and staff out of the area. So we are contracted with bus finders. They'll find us transportation. Normally it's, the minimum is like a 42 passenger buses they will send out. If we need to evacuate, they'll send them out and get us out of here if need be. So some things continued on the disaster preparedness manual. We have Cisco agreements that's in there, and it's a commitment from them to provide fresh fruits, vegetables, and fresh foods in the case of emergency. If it's something really terrible, of course, he wouldn't be able to get out, but in most situations, it's just a commitment from them to provide us with food and stuff that we need. Nestle water agreements. This is where we get our hurricane waters from, and we have an agreement set with them as well. emergency power plan, which is our generator. It's a detailed plan regarding the generator and who comes out and will service that and gassing it and all those things that are detailed in that. County evacuation routes. You can see the one in the top right-hand corner. That's the evacuation routes, and just in case we need to get out of here in case of a hurricane or emergency. County flood zones, which is located right before that. You can see in the middle is where we're located, and the blue around us is where all the flood zones are for Hillsborough County. All these things I have to submit with my package. We have to have a fire plan, which is what are we going to evacuate the building, how we evacuate the building in case of a fire. Infection control plan. Say for instance, a hurricane hits, we all shelter here, and there's an outbreak of some type of infectious disease, like COVID for that. And it's just a plan of what we're going to do if we all have to shelter here and then we have an outbreak of something. It's how we go about our daily routine and preventing it and isolating people in a certain area. We also have our associate commitment. The operation of Fetal Policy depends on having staff members present each day as scheduled. And all employees, they do sign this commitment form stating to us, we have an A, B, and then we have a C team, and they state to us what role they want to play. Now typically, it's strongly encouraged to get as many employees to commit with being the A team as possible. So we can make sure that we have enough employees for all levels of care to take care of everyone at the different communities that we have here. Okay? So Team A is directors and associates that are currently working at the community. Team B, they pretty much back up Team A after the storm, and when it's safe to travel, we have Team C back up to Teams A and B. I know when we had Irma, Team A, we came in like a day before the storm was supposed to hit. We made sure that we were good to go logistically, had everything that we needed to take care of. And it was some long hours spent doing that. And also when we had the shelter in place here, some long hours spent. So typically at the end of the disaster, when everything's okay and safe to travel, we usually send Team A home and Team B comes in and picks up where Team A left off. Associates, we've provided local shelter information for their families and their pets. So I know this was a huge concern before. Because of COVID, now we are giving information to the employees of where they can shelter their families if they have to come here and stay, if the employees have to come here and stay. So as of now, the pets and the family members are not allowed to come here and stay. Associates will be provided emergency travel request letters from the executive director asking permission for the employees to be on the road after the storm or when it is safe to travel. A lot of times after a natural disaster, they have areas closed off and they only open it for essential personnel. So this is the information, a form that the employee is going to keep in their glove box. So just in case they have an area or a road closed off and it's being monitored, they can show this to whoever's monitoring that area and they can be let in to come to work. Okay, my favorite part. How to weather a hurricane. So the one on the left is my favorite. Can anybody tell me how to make a hurricane? No? Show of hands, who knows how to make a hurricane? I'm gonna come find you, Ms. Cole, then, okay? If we have the shelter in place here. So, preparation for a hurricane. And these are just a few bullet points that I pulled from my disaster manual for preparation for hurricanes. So water, 6 gallons. You have 3 for drinking and 3 for flushing. Radio, make sure it's a battery powered radio because we don't know if power is gonna go down, and the generator only services certain areas in the event that we lose power. Cell phone, you wanna make sure your cell phone is fully charged, okay? So in the event that you know we're gonna get hit by a hurricane, you wanna make sure that anything that that's battery powered, that it's fully charged, okay? A manual can opener, it's very important. You want to carry semi-perishable items like canned goods and stuff. And if the power's out, electric can opener is not going to work, okay? Non-perishable food, something that will last pretty long. First aid kits, just in case there's an emergency and there's an injury. Medications, very important. A lot of times, if we lose power, there's not going to be a lot of lighting. This might be a good idea to have a pill box with all your pills already preset for you to use, so you're not opening a lot of different bottles and things of that nature. Flashlight is always good to have. Trash bags, disposable plates, napkins, and cutlery. Dishwashers probably won't be working. There might be limited water, so you don't want to be washing dishes and things of that nature, wasting water. Paper towels and toilet paper, sanitizing wipes and hand sanitizers, empty gallon jugs that you can fill. A tub stopper for the purpose of, most of your tubs should have a tub stopper in there, but in the event of emergency or something, you might want to push your plunger in and fill your tub up with water, because that's water that you can use for something else, okay? Pet supplies, linens, storm clothing, laptop or tablet, and once again, you want to make sure those things are fully charged, okay? Cash, in the event we have to evacuate, you're going to need some money. The ATMs might not be working or anything, so it's good to have a little bit of cash on hand as well. Oxygen users, you want to have extra tanks and backup and a charged battery, right? You want to have a backup battery that's fully charged. All right, now we're going to get into emergency water. The sign up for is through Friday, June 10th. So you got till the end of this week to sign up for your emergency water. How many of you all know that Friday is the cutoff to order your emergency water? If you have not done so, I strongly encourage you to sign up for your emergency water.
Hi, good morning everybody. So the sign up location is right outside my office to the right hand side. There's a white book there. There has been a lot of people that have signed up already. So please sign up there. You can always email me, you can always call and leave a message, but sign up is better. We do have smart containers that are $4 each. In the next slide we will show you what they look like. And we have bottled water, and it's $5 per case. And each case has 24 bottles. We do not split the cases and we do not sell them individually. We only sell them by the case. It is recommended that each resident have 2 cases of bottled water for emergency purposes, along with gallons of water for sanitation. So please sign up for bottled water and smart containers. Like Jeff said, the sign up is through Friday, June 10th. It is this Friday. The distribution date will be determined based on the amount of water that we need to be brought in. So that is a to be determined date. All charges will be posted to your ancillary account. The emergency water delivery. Hurricane water delivery, again, to be determined. If you have signed up for water, please be available to accept delivery during that time. If you're not going to be available during that time for any reason, please contact me by email or my phone. I think if you want to go. Oh, okay, so on that top side, this new year, we heard what you had, your concerns from last year, and we have a 2.6 gallon emergency smart bottle. So it is a smaller, it's easier to carry, and you can put it conveniently under your sink or in your kitchen. And it has a smart pour spout. So that is a new item that we are carrying this year. It's much smaller than last year's. And again, that smart container of 2.6 gallons costs $4 each. Again, you need to sign up for that. I will repeat, bottled water, $5 per case of 24, and we are not splitting the cases. Should you have any questions, comments, concerns, I'm always available in my office. You can definitely call the hostess desk and leave a message. Or if you have any other further questions, let's be sure to be ready for hurricane season, and water is very, very important.
So Pam's email address and her work phone is up there. If she does not contact you back with either one of those, I'll give you a personal cell phone, okay? So you can reach her at any time. So at this time, are there any questions? Microphone, ladies.
Could I please have your name and telephone number in case I have to get in touch with you?
You mean for Pam or me? Pam?
Yes.
So it's right up there on the board.
Extension C1224 for the hostess desk, which is extension.
What I'm gonna do is we're gonna have
Can't see
copies. We're gonna have copies of this presentation as well as the emergency procedures that were referenced earlier available at Stephanie's desk. So if you want those hard copies, you can pick them up at Stephanie's desk, or if you would like them emailed to you, she can do that as well. Just send her an email and she'll send you copies of this presentation and the emergency procedures book. But Pam's direct extension is 1224.
Hello?
Any more questions?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I bought 2-gallon jugs of water last year, and I have not opened them. Are they still good?
You can use it to flush, but you can't, it's not,
Okay, thank you. That's all.
not to drink.
Excuse me, I have another question. You mentioned something about putting some of the water in a bathtub. I don't have a bathtub in my apartment.
Well, then you can't do it then. Unless you want to get a bathtub installed, and you can contact City in regards to that. No, but part of the presentation too for hurricane supplies, we said empty gallon jugs, empty plastic jugs. So if you don't have a bathtub, you can store some empty plastic jugs. And the bladders that Pam was just talking about with the spouts on, those are available to buy as well. You can buy as many as you like and fill those up with water in the event of emergency.
I have some more questions. I'm sorry I'm new here. If it's heavy and you have to pick it up to flush your toilet, who's going to help you pick it up and put it in the toilet?
It has a pour spout on it, so if you like sit it on the countertop and fill it up there, you can just leave it sitting on the countertop, and it has a pour spout, so you don't have to lift it and move it around if you don't want to. And it's only 2.6 gallons. It's 2.6 gallons, so it's not terribly heavy. But if you still have problems with that, that's why we have Arlene and IHS. If you want someone to fill your containers for you, reach out to Arlene.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, if you have a tub, just push the plunger in and you can fill it up. You can use that for flushing water or whatever you want to. Water for cleaning, whatever you need it for. Any more questions? Yeah.
I was wondering about people, I use a CPAP at night. So, there's no electricity, you can't use it.
We have emergency outlets that are generator ran, and I think they're colored red, if I'm not mistaken. So On the third floor? On the third floor throughout the community, we do have the red outlets that you can plug that into and use that.
Where are they, in the hall?
Yes, they're in the hallway.
So I will be real candid. You know, in the event of a hurricane and we don't have power, it's not going to be Ritz-Carlton accommodations. So if you have to sleep with a CPAP and you want that plugged into one of our emergency outlets on the third floor of this building, you will be sleeping on an air mattress close to one of the emergency outlets. So we do have those accommodations. The good news is, even with Hurricane Irma, we only lost power for a few hours. It wasn't an extended period of time. Now, at my house during Irma, I did not have power for a week. So that was not fun. But here, typically Freedom Plaza, as well as all the buildings that are part of the community, are on a priority list to get power restored, probably as a priority as compared to some other areas. So, you know, not that we couldn't lose power for an extended period of time, but we will always be a priority for TECO to get restored as soon as possible. So the duration of a power outage is not likely to be more than a few hours, barring like a very severe hurricane being a direct hit here. Any other questions?
Are the windows around here, got a film on them?
We do have hurricane film on the windows in this particular room and in the dining rooms. And I don't want to misquote this. I wish Sibby was here, but I want to say that they're rated up through a Category 2 hurricane. I think if we're going to get a 3 or above, we want everybody down in the lower floors. We want them on floors 1, 2, and 3, probably in the atrium area. And even with Irma, at that time I was working at Freedom Plaza Assisted Living and Memory Care. But if I remember correctly, up here, we were encouraging folks to go down or to go into the hallways during the storm. And we were asking GVT residents to come up to this building. We can't force anybody to do anything. We make recommendations. So we will always make the recommendation of where we think you would be the most safe. And then it's up to you to decide how you want to sort of weather the storm. So the best thing to do in a really bad storm is to be on the first 3 floors of this building on the inside away from windows. And we will always communicate that information as we get good solid predictions on what the storm is going to do. Gulfview Terrace, if it's a really bad storm, they are to come up to this building. And we will direct you exactly where that is to be in this building. So what we always try to do is communicate things in multiple ways. So there will always be there will be a daily memo in the event of a hurricane, maybe more than 1 memo per day as things change pretty quickly. We will use Swift for each. And we actually had, if I remember correctly, during Irma, directors going up and down the hallways, knocking on doors, communicating information. So we're going to communicate as many ways as we can think of to make sure we reach everyone. Email, text, telephone, memo, door to door. But my hope is that we don't have to do any of that this year. But we like to be prepared anyway.
Is there a set speed in water?
I think that when the winds are predicted to be above 90 miles an hour is when we start telling people to go to lower floors. And I think that's really the transition from a Category 2 to a Category 3 storm. Anything else? All right, well, make sure you sign up for your water and your smart bottles outside of the dining office. And if you think of any questions, you can always reach out to myself or to Jeff. And all this presentation, as well as the emergency procedures, are going to be available at Stephanie's desk, so just let her know if you'd like a copy. All right, thanks everybody for coming.